Henry Louis Gehrig, perhaps no name in MLB history, represents both greatness and heartbreak quite like that. The Iron Horse. We all remember the streak, the speech, the devastating disease that would forever bear his name, the quiet dignity, the incredible consistency, the first baseman who played in 2,130 consecutive games and accomplished more in 17 seasons than most players dream of achieving. But as legend melds into myth over the years, we can lose sight of what he truly managed to accomplish during his playing days. The absolute staggering raw numbers including 493 home runs, 1,995 RBIs, and a .340 career batting average. We may remember the luckiest man speech, but we find ourselves forgetting the great stories like how he once hit 4 home runs in a single game, or how this son of German immigrants went from a shy Columbia University student to perhaps the greatest first baseman of all time. Well, now it's time to jog our memory, to appreciate the glory of baseball's Iron Horse. Step right up to the plate with us as we explore the remarkable life of Lou Gehrig. When Lou Gehrig first stepped onto a major league diamond with the New York Yankees in 1923, he was just 20 years old and came with tremendous promise. The son of German immigrants, Heinrich and Christina Gehrig, Lou grew up in the Yorkville section of Manhattan, where baseball was his escape from a difficult childhood. His father, Heinrich, struggled with alcoholism and finding steady work, leaving Lou's mother, Christina, to hold the family together as a maid and cook. The young Lou was a 3-sport star at Commerce High School in Manhattan, excelling in baseball, football, and soccer. His athletic prowess earned him a scholarship to Columbia University, where he played both baseball and football. It was at Columbia where Lou's baseball talents truly began to shine. The powerful left-handed hitter was crushing baseballs at an alarming rate, and it wasn't long before Major League scouts took notice. In 1923, Yankees scout Paul Krishel watched Gehrig play and immediately recognized his potential. After seeing Lou hit a mammoth home run that reportedly traveled over 450 feet, Krishel famously said, "I think I found another Babe Ruth." The Yankees signed Gehrig to a professional contract for $1,500 plus a $2,000 bonus, a considerable sum for a college player at the time. But Gehrig's path to stardom wasn't immediate. After brief stints with the Yankees in 1923 and 1924, he was sent to the minors to develop his skills. The young first baseman was raw, still learning the finer points of the game. He spent time with Hartford in the Eastern League, where he honed his batting stroke and learned to play consistent defense. His manager there, Patty O'Connor, worked tirelessly with Gehrig on his fundamentals, particularly his footwork around first base. The breakthrough came in 1925, but not in the way anyone expected. On June 1, 1925, Yankees first baseman Wally Pipp complained of a headache and asked for the day off. Manager Miller Huggins inserted the 21-year-old Gehrig into the lineup, and baseball history was made. Pipp would never get his job back. From that day forward, Lou Gehrig would play in 2,130 consecutive games over the next 14 years, earning him the nickname the Iron Horse for his incredible durability and consistency. What made Gehrig's consecutive game streak so remarkable wasn't just the number, it was what he accomplished during those games. This wasn't a player simply showing up to maintain a streak. He was consistently one of the best players in baseball, year after year. In 1927, during what many consider the greatest season in baseball history, Gehrig was actually having a better individual season than his more famous teammate Babe Ruth. While Ruth was hitting his record-breaking 60 home runs, Gehrig was quietly putting together one of the greatest offensive seasons ever recorded. That 1927 season saw Gehrig hit .373 with 47 home runs and a staggering 175 RBIs. His RBI total that year stood as the American League record for 74 years until it was broken by Manny Ramirez in 1999. But even more impressive was Gehrig's consistency. From 1926 to 1938, he drove in at least 100 runs every single season, including 7 seasons with 150 or more RBIs. His career RBI total of 1,995 came in just 17 seasons, a rate of production that remains virtually unmatched in baseball history. The 1927 Yankees, featuring the legendary Murderers Row lineup, swept the Pittsburgh Pirates in the World Series. Gehrig and Ruth formed perhaps the greatest 1-2 punch in baseball history, with opposing pitchers having no choice but to pitch to both players. You couldn't walk Ruth to get Gehrig, and you couldn't pitch around Gehrig to face Ruth. It was a nightmare scenario for opposing teams that lasted for over a decade, but it was Gehrig's 1934 season that truly showcased his incredible power and consistency. On June 3, 1932, at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, Gehrig accomplished something that had never been done before and has been matched by only a handful of players since. He hit 4 home runs in a single game. The feat was so rare that it made headlines across the country. Gehrig became just the first player in the modern era to hit 4 home runs in a 9-inning game, a record that stood alone for 61 years. The Iron Horse's durability was legendary. He played through injuries that would sideline most players for weeks. He played with broken bones, pulled muscles, and various ailments, never wanting to let his team down. There were documented instances of Gehrig playing with a broken thumb, fractured ribs, and a back injury so severe he could barely swing the bat. Yet he continued to produce at an elite level, driven by an incredible work ethic and loyalty to his teammates. In 1936, Gehrig won the American League MVP award after hitting .354 with 49 home runs and 152 RBIs. He was 33 years old and showing no signs of slowing down. The following year, he had another outstanding season, and in 1938, he still managed to hit .295 with 29 home runs and 114 RBIs. To outside observers, Gehrig appeared to be aging gracefully, still one of the game's premier players. But something was wrong. Those closest to Gehrig began to notice subtle changes in his play during the 1938 season. His reflexes seemed slower, his swing less fluid. He was struggling with routine plays at first base that he had been making effortlessly for years. The man who had been a model of consistency was beginning to show signs of decline that seemed more dramatic than normal aging. The 1939 season began ominously for Gehrig. In spring training, his teammates noticed he was struggling with basic baseball activities. His batting practice sessions were labored, and he seemed to tire easily. When the season began, it was clear something was seriously wrong. In the first 8 games of the season, Gehrig managed just 4 hits in 28 at-bats, a .143 batting average that was shocking for a player of his caliber. More concerning than the statistics was how Gehrig looked at the plate and in the field. His once powerful swing had become tentative and weak. On defense, he was struggling to field routine ground balls and looked unsteady on his feet. His teammates, who had long admired his toughness and consistency, began to worry about their captain. The end came on May 2, 1939 in Detroit. Before the game, Gehrig approached manager Joe McCarthy and asked to be taken out of the lineup. The Iron Horse's incredible streak of 2,130 consecutive games was over. Gehrig told McCarthy, "I'm not helping the team anymore. I know I look terrible out there and I can't seem to get going. The fans are even booing me in New York." It was a heartbreaking moment for a player who had given everything to the game. The announcement of Gehrig's removal from the lineup sent shockwaves through the baseball world. Here was a player who had been the epitome of durability and consistency, voluntarily ending his streak because he felt he was hurting his team. The mystery of what was wrong with Gehrig would soon be solved, but the answer would be more devastating than anyone could have imagined. On June 19, 1939, Gehrig's 36th birthday, he received the diagnosis that would change everything. After extensive testing at the Mayo Clinic, doctors determined that Gehrig was suffering from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, a progressive neurodegenerative disease that attacks nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. The disease was rare and always fatal, typically giving patients 2 to 5 years to live. The illness would later become known as Lou Gehrig's disease, forever linking his name to the condition that would take his life. The news was devastating, but Gehrig's response was characteristically dignified. Rather than retreat from public life, he chose to face his illness with the same courage and grace he had shown throughout his career. On July 4, 1939, the Yankees held Lou Gehrig Appreciation Day at Yankee Stadium. Between games of a doubleheader, Gehrig delivered what would become known as the luckiest man speech, one of the most famous and moving addresses in sports history. Standing at home plate with tears in his eyes, Gehrig spoke without notes to a crowd of 61,808 fans. He went on to thank his teammates, managers, and fans, displaying remarkable grace in the face of his terminal diagnosis. The speech lasted less than 2 minutes, but has been replayed countless times, serving as a testament to Gehrig's character and dignity. The Yankees immediately retired Gehrig's number 4, making him the first player in Major League Baseball history to have his number retired. His plaque was placed in Monument Park at Yankee Stadium, where it remains to this day. The plaque reads, Henry Louis Gehrig, June 19, 1903 to June 2, 1941. A man, a gentleman, and a great ball player whose amazing record of 2,130 consecutive games should stand for all time. Gehrig's final years were spent battling his illness while trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy. He briefly worked as a member of the New York City Parole Commission, appointed by Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia. Despite his declining health, Gehrig approached this role with the same dedication he had shown as a player, wanting to continue contributing to society. Lou Gehrig died on June 2, 1941, just 17 days before his 38th birthday. The disease had taken its toll quickly, and his death sent shockwaves through the baseball world and beyond. He had lived less than 2 years after his diagnosis, but in that time, he had shown the same courage and dignity that had defined his playing career. The numbers Gehrig left behind tell the story of one of baseball's greatest players. A career .340 batting average, 493 home runs, 1,995 RBIs, and 2,721 hits in just 17 seasons. His 184 career OPS plus ranks among the best in baseball history. He was a 7-time All-Star, a 6-time World Series champion, and a 2-time MVP. But beyond the statistics, Gehrig represented something more, the ideal of what a baseball player should be. In 1939, Gehrig was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, with the normal 5-year waiting period waived due to his illness. He was just 36 years old at the time of his induction, making him one of the youngest players ever enshrined. His plaque in Cooperstown reads, a symbol of indomitable courage and determination, a peerless leader, and a great team player. The Iron Horse's legacy extends far beyond baseball. His dignity in facing ALS helped bring attention to the disease and inspired countless others facing similar challenges. The ALS Association has used Gehrig's story to raise awareness and funds for research into the disease. Every year, Major League Baseball celebrates Lou Gehrig Day, honoring both his baseball achievements and his courage in facing his illness. When we think about consistency in baseball, we think about Lou Gehrig. When we think about grace under pressure, we think about Lou Gehrig. When we think about what it means to be a teammate and a leader, we think about Lou Gehrig. The Iron Horse set a standard for excellence that has rarely been matched and never been exceeded. His consecutive game streak of 2,130 games stood as a record for 56 years until Cal Ripken Jr. broke it in 1995. But while Ripken's achievement was remarkable, many argue that Gehrig's streak was even more impressive given the era in which he played and the level of his performance throughout the streak. Gehrig wasn't just showing up. He was consistently one of the best players in baseball. The tragic end to Gehrig's story only adds to his legend. Here was a man who had everything: talent, success, fame, and a loving marriage to his wife Eleanor. Yet when faced with a terminal illness, he chose to focus on how lucky he had been, rather than what he was losing. That perspective, that grace, that dignity, these are the qualities that make Lou Gehrig more than just a great baseball player. They make him a symbol of the very best of human nature. Today, when we face our own challenges, we can look to Lou Gehrig's example. When we feel sorry for ourselves, we can remember the man who called himself the luckiest man alive while facing a terminal illness. When we think about what it means to be a team player, we can remember the Iron Horse who put his team first, even when it meant ending his incredible streak. Lou Gehrig's story is one of triumph and tragedy, of incredible achievement and devastating loss. It's a story that reminds us that while we can't control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. The Iron Horse showed us that true greatness isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you are when faced with the ultimate test. So when do you think we'll see another player like Lou Gehrig? Another player who combines incredible talent with unmatched consistency and grace? Another player who faces adversity with such dignity and courage? The answer is simple: we won't. There will never be another Lou Gehrig, and that's exactly what makes his story so special. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and comment to let us know who you want to hear about next. Subscribe for more legendary baseball stories every week. This is Inside Baseball, where we bring you the best of the game.